Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund is a non-profit public interest law firm providing free and affordable legal services to communities facing threats to their local environment. They do it by organizing, educating, and nurturing local groups in scores of municipalities. Groups made up of ordinary citizens who have discovered, to their shock and horror, that their democratic communities are the playthings of corporations which have rights that mere citizens don't have. Thomas Linzey is the organization's visionary co-founder and executive director, and Margil is its incisive associate director. Your work seems to come down to the right of the legal right of a community to say no. Is that a fair description of the core of what much of you do is?
I think somewhat. It's where we started the work of the Legal Defense Fund, which was we had communities that were faced with toxic waste incinerators and factory farms and sludge dumping and fracking and all kinds of thousands of different single issues that communities face every day on a daily basis. And what we found about the US system of law, and now over the past 10 years we found about other systems of law, like the Australian system of law and Canadian system of law, even in some ways the Nepalese system of law, is that communities have been cut out of having any kind of authority over whether certain corporate projects come into their community or not. And they're, in essence, in the US and other places, have been under a structure of law in which they can't say no to any of these things coming in. And the reason why they can't say no can be tracked back to certain corporate legal doctrines which have emerged and been transformed over the past 150 to 200 years in the US at least. And it's basically put communities in a box where they have these legal doctrines on each side of the box that if they attempt to say no, say fracking's coming into your community, if they attempt to say no to fracking coming in, that the corporation that's affected by that frack project actually has recourse to a system of law that allows them to punish the municipality for even attempting to say no. And so, as strange as it may sound in a country where people talk about democracy, is that no democracy exists. The fact that we have no lawmaking power in our own communities to actually use the system of law to get to environmental and economic sustainability. And if that remains the situation, we're pretty much cooked.
I think our communities, it helps to understand, they ask us, well, why is the structure this way? It doesn't seem logical. And it certainly doesn't seem to be of we the people. And communities, I think, come to an understanding as we have, which is that the structure of law is set up this way, as Thomas has been describing, to aid interests other than our own. And those interests are a constant, endless expansion of development, of growth, of extraction, to aid that. So the structure has been designed to make sure that that progress, as many choose to define it, that endless growth and development as progress, as making sure that that continues unimpeded. If we understand that the structure is actually designed to ensure endless growth, what Richard Grossman, a historian that helped to develop our democracy schools and our theory, he described it as the endless production of more. Just more what? More stuff, more everything. And if we understand the structure of law to be designed to ensure endless production of more, then it makes sense that it would be designed to make sure that happens and to keep everything else out of the way.
So the question is, can we build sustainability by leaving those doctrines on the table? For the past 50 years, we've said the answer to that is yes. Environmental activists and labor activists, you can leave that basic structure on the table and then try to work around it. So the question is, how do you occupy the law to actually change how the law operates so it supports the communities rather than supports the extractive interests? And right now, very few people understand the system in which they live because it's all been camouflaged. They only see it when they hit it. And they only hit it when they want something different than what's being delivered to them by the system. And so we operate in that convergence zone, that confrontation zone, where we talk with communities to say, it's not about getting what you can get under the existing system, it's about getting what you want and what you need. And with climate change and species extinction and deforestation, all these other problems on the table, people are beginning to see the difference between what can you get under the existing system versus what do we want and need. We actually help them to build law based on what they want and need. And so it's that cognitive dissonance between the two which is beginning to build the energy and space for a movement to arise. And that movement's going to be something that we haven't seen in the United States for the past 100 years, 150 years. possibly back to the American Revolution, which is about taking wholesale the system of law that we have, which is an archaic system in many ways, and tossing it to the side, and then building a whole new system of government in its place. And that's a huge task, but that's, to us, that's the only fight we're fighting right now.
Thomas Linzey and Mary Margil of the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, who are changing the United States one town at a time. This interview is part of our Green Rights project. You can learn more by going to www.greenrights.com. We've interviewed numerous other people involved with environmental rights, including David Boyd, Mamta Ito, David Suzuki, and Cormac Cullinan. You'll find all those interviews on this site. For the Green Interview, I'm Silver Donald Cameron. Thanks for watching.